Hi, this is Judy with Handcrafted Greetings, and today I have a fun project to share with you. Last Sunday, my aunt gave me a box to decorate. It's a round cylinder box, and it was just a plain wooden box, and this is made out of a really lightweight. It's like a balsa. It's very flexible, and so I brought it home and decorated it. And when I got done, I thought, well, I'd like to get some more of those. And I went online looking and I couldn't find any. So I took a look at it and figured I could probably make my own. So I did. This is the first one that I made. It has the elastic closure. I used a button for the to hold it shut. And this is made from cardstock. And this is the Fun Stampers Journey cardstock. It's a nice heavyweight cardstock, so it works really well for this. And the ends, I used paperboard from a cereal box. So I'm going to show you how to do that today. So the first thing that I did was I cut the end pieces, and I cut those from a cereal box, and there's 5 of them for each end. I used the Journey circles, and it's the, whoops, that's the oval. There we go. It's the middle one, so it's the third one in from either side. It's the middle circle, and that's what I used to cut the ends with. And I cut 5 for each end, and also I'm going to make the one that I'm doing today. I'm going to make the inside out of Cool Pool, and the outside I decided to go for the Designer's Choice papers, and it's this wood panel look. So what you need to do from the Cool Pool is cut a piece that's 7 inches wide by 8.5 inches long. There. So 7 inches wide, 8.5 inches long. And on one end, you're going to want to mark the center, so it's at 3.5 inches at the center. And then on each side, you're going to come in 3/4 of an inch and mark there, and then join those to draw your line. And that's what makes this little kind of a V-shaped flap on the front. So I did that, and I'm going to go ahead and cut that away. Okay, so there's that. And the next thing that you're going to want to do, because this paper is fairly stiff, you're going to want to curl it. And what I do is, like, I'll run it up against the edge of of a table, or since I've got this nice long ruler, some of this stuff out of the way. Hold the ruler real firm and just pull up on the paper, and that's going to curl it and get it ready for bending around those circles. So once I've got it curled like that, then I'll take it, and making sure I don't crease it, I'm going to just roll it, and then I'll roll it the other direction. And this looks like it's pretty well curled. So you got a nice curly piece of paper. And I'm gonna do, I'll do the same thing with the outside. But so this is what's gonna be the inside. And now the outside is this wood panel paper. And this piece is, again, 7 inches wide, but it is 9 1/8 inch long. And then I scored it in 1/2 inch from one end, because I found that this edge needs a little bit of reinforcing. So I'm going to, on my first one I didn't do this, but I have a 1/2 inch. That's why I put this border on here, was just to reinforce that edge. So instead of doing that, we'll just fold it over. So that's scored at 1/2 inch. The other thing that I did is need to mark the holes for the elastic. Now you can't punch these yet because you've got going to be going through 2 layers, but you need to mark the holes for the elastic. So that is 2 inches in from the edge and 1 3/4 inch in from the bottom edge. So 2 inches in, 1 3/4. And you do that on both sides, 2 inches in, 1 3/4. And just put a dot there, that's where you're going to be putting your hole. And that is on this bottom edge right here. Okay, once you have that done, you're going to need to glue all of these together for the ends. So 5 on a side. Oops, some Journey glue. And I'm just going to stack those up. And now I'm going to go ahead and put the inside and outside on as well. Doesn't really matter which way you do this. Do you want to make sure I get the glue all the way out to the edge? Okay. And this side's going to be covered pretty much anyway with this rosette, but I just like to cover it just in case there's any peeking out. So now we'll do the other side. And that comes to be just a little over 1/8 of an inch thick. And I'm going to set those aside to dry. Find something heavy to put them under, that would be good. And now I want my ribbon. I decided I wanted to go with, instead of leaving it a natural color, and I ran out of the boho ribbon from Fun Stamper's Journey. So I went and found out of my stash just some white ribbon, but I didn't want it white on this one. I wanted to make it the same color as the inside of the box. I wanted that Cool Pool. So what I did is I took my Cool Pool ink and a stamp block and my ribbon, and here's just a little sample of it. This is what I started out with, just trying it to see if it would work. And I found that the easiest way to do this is you just put the ribbon down on your stamp pad and rub it with the stamp block just like this, and then move it and rub it some more, and that does a really good job of dyeing your ribbon. So I did that, and so this is my finished piece. It's a little bit lighter because it's dried, and that's just the right color. I wanted that. So there's the ribbon for this. Is going to go on the front flap. I found some other ribbon from my stash that's a much wider ribbon, and it is, and wow, that's like the same color. So it goes really well with this. This is another piece that I'm going to put this around this part. Now the other thing that you're going to need to color is, you could use it white, but I wanted my elastic fastener to also be that Cool Pool color. So I did the same method, and I colored my elastic. And this piece of elastic, it is about 7 inches long. You want it long enough so that you can tie it on the inside of the box. So I'll show you that in a little bit when we get to that point. So now we're going to assemble the inside. And before I do that, I'm going to mark these for, I'm going to mark these so that I know how far around I'm gluing it, because you want to put the glue on the outside. You want to glue it evenly so you don't have, otherwise it's going to be wonky. So squish these together a little bit more. Okay, so I'm going to take a pen. This isn't going to show, so hopefully this will work on here. I'm just going to mark it, and I'm holding them together while I mark it. So I'm going to mark it there, and I'm going this direction with the glue. It's kind of important that you do that, although since I've got the colors on here, it's not quite as big of a deal. And I'm going to go, let's see, there's that. I'm going to go about halfway, just a little bit above half. And I'm going to mark this side. And the glue is going to go that direction. Okay, so I've got those marked. And now I am going to start, let's see, which end do I want to start with? I'll start with this end. Okay. So I want the blue on the inside, the wood on the outside. And the glue is going to go this way from that mark around, because we're going to leave the top unglued. Okay, now hopefully I got that in frame. I'm going to start gluing this on. Oops. And it's a little tricky. It's even harder when you're trying to keep it on a camera. And I'm going to go all the way around, and I'm just going to hang on to that. And this glue dries fairly fast. So I don't have to hold it too long. Let it go. Okay, that looks pretty good. And now I'm going to do the same thing with the other end. This is why it was important to mark it, so I know which direction I want to do the glue. Going from there to there. I don't know if you can see that mark or not. I put a decent amount of glue on here. Okay. It goes on the outside. This goes here. Get glue all over my fingers. Try to keep this in frame. Okay, it starts at that mark. Go around to that mark. Okay, so now that I've got that on there, I held it a little too tight, but that'll get covered up anyway. Now I'm going to want to put this piece on. Now, one thing I forgot to mention is, because we're going to want to fold this over, I'm going to need to clip just a little bit off of there. So right there, just gonna mark that so it'll fit inside when I fold it, and that just needs to go. So I'm gonna clip this right from that mark to the score line. It doesn't matter too much if you're off by a little bit. Just want to go to the score line. Okay, so now I'm going to put glue on this, and gonna fold that right over the edge, just like that. Okay, that's glued on good. Now I'm gonna run the glue, and I just go around the edges here and here. As long as you have the edges glued on, you're fine with the rest of it. It's not gonna come off. Just gonna run that around there, making sure that I keep the edges even. It's coming off, of course. Oh, I know why. I forgot to. Okay. Okay, yeah. Mistakes are best on camera, right? I forgot to do this. You really need to make sure that that's curled, otherwise it pulls away. Hopefully I haven't like totally ruined this. I'm gonna try running the glue on here. Okay. My first one went together faster than this, believe it or not. Okay, I think we're good. Now I'm going to fold this over because I want to reinforce this edge too. So I'm going to put glue on here. And I'm just going to fold that over all the way down to the point. And then I'm going to use my crease tool to just really burnish that down good. And same on the other side. There. Now we have our box. This part's done. Okay, I'm back and it's all dry. Now I'm going to poke holes for the elastic. I'm going to use my bloom tool for that. Poke it in there, and that should be big enough. Okay, there we go. All right. That. And now the end's frayed just a little bit, so I'm going to trim that just a tiny bit off. And work on that hole a little bit more. There. That in. And I'm going to want to tie this so that it just comes straight across. I don't want it stretched, but just so it lays straight across. So tie it in here. these things is really hard to do to keep it on camera. And I'm going to let that loop go all the way down. Just going to come pull it there. So that's not tight, it's just laying there. And then I'm going to trim off that extra end. There. Okay, that's done. Next I'm going to add the ribbon around the outside. So I took the wide ribbon and added glue onto the wider strips on that ribbon and put that around the outside of the box. I left a little bit of overhang so there won't be any raw edges. I also added white liner to each end of the ribbon and then folded it under and adhered it to the inside of the box. It was using quite a bit of pressure so that it won't come loose. Then I did the other side of the box the same way, except that I measured the ribbon first before putting it on, and put the white liner on the ends and then added the glue. Next I added the leaves from the boho trim to the center of the wide ribbon. I started out by putting a little piece of white liner on it to attach it to the inside, and then I used Journey Craft glue to glue it to the outside. And I started by putting the glue on the ribbon, but it was found that it was a lot easier to put it on the box. And when I got to the other side, I finished that off with another piece of the white liner. Next, I decided to go ahead and put the button on. And to do that, I needed to know how wide that front lace was going to be. So I held that up against the front of the that flap and put a dot just above where the lace was going to be and made sure that it was centered. And there's the button that I'm going to use. So I need to poke a hole to put that button shank through the front of the box. To do that, I used the straight piercing attachment from the Bloom tool, and I just poked several holes through the flap in a horizontal line. When I got the holes wide enough for the shank to fit in, I just put the button on and pushed it through. Now that the button is on the box, we have to figure out how to hold it on. And so what I'm going to do is cut 2 narrow strips of paper that will fit right through there. And you could use a wire or if you have a cotter pin, you could use that as well. But I decided to use 2 strips, just a narrow strip of paper. And I actually cut 2 of those just for reinforcement. And this cardstock is quite heavy, so there's not much of a chance that that button's going to pull out. You'd really have to pull on it hard to pull it out. So I put 2 strips, glued them together. I put the button back on. Then put some more glue on the strips. and threaded it through that little hole and glued it down. It's on there quite securely. If you pulled that button out, you would destroy the box, and there the elastic fits right behind it and it holds it shut. Next, I finished putting the leaves on the other side. I fastened each end with the white liner and used craft glue to glue it around the outside. And the craft glue dries fairly fast and it's clear, so there's really no it's not shiny, it doesn't show through. Now that's done, and I'm going to add the lace to the front flap. I'm going to have to slide it underneath that button, so I turned it upside down to make that a little bit easier. So once I got that slid under there, I used white liner and Journey craft glue to glue that on. I used the Journey craft glue on the edges and the white liner on the end. And there, that's part's done. Now I need to add the roses and the rosettes and the rest of the flowers. So for the rosettes, or the roses, I used the Spiral Lines die set and a quilling tool. And I cut that out of the orange creamsicle paper. And I needed to, it's best to break the fibers using the crease tool and just run it along the edge, and you can see it's a little bit wavy. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you want to break those fibers to make it easier to curl, and all the way down as far as you can. And when you get into that very end part, it gets a little hard to get the crease tool in there. The very last part of the circle, that little last spiral, it stays fairly flat, so it doesn't matter too much. And now you just slip that into the slot of the quilling tool. And it's a little hard because the paper is kind of thick, but you work that in there, and then just start rolling that around the end of the quilling tool. And once you get it started, it goes fairly easy for the first several inches, and I hold it between my thumb and finger just to try to keep the edges even and keep turning until you get to the center. And the closer to the center that you get, the harder it is to keep those edges even. So just go slow and steady, and when you get to the very end, they're gonna slide apart a little bit, but you want to keep an even pressure on it to get a nice evenly distributed rows. And when you're done, you just slide it off of the end of the quilling tool and then let it relax, and you just kind of let go of it, hold the center down and it'll pop up, and just let it relax. And then you will need to add some glue to that, and I use quite a good bit of the Journey craft glue. I put it in there underneath. I hold it upside down and kind of let it run down inside, and you'll see when I set this down on the table that you can see the glue from the top, but once it dries you can't see that, it dries clear. But you can see I put quite a bit of glue in there, and then set it down and hold the center, try to get that in the center and hold that down for a few seconds, and until it dries enough that it won't spring out of shape. And that white glue there that you see, once that dries, you won't be able to see that white glue. Besides the roses for the ends of the box, I decided I wanted small flowers to go around the box. And I used the Spring Blooms mini dies, and I used I cut that, put that through the die cutting machine about twice, I think. And so I have a whole bunch of them. And what I did to make them, give them a 3D effect, was I put them on a piece of fun foam and used my bloom tool and just pressing down and rubbing in a circular motion to make those cup up. As you can see, I probably made way more than I needed. Before putting the small flowers on, I decided that I wanted to put the rosettes and the roses on the ends. So I took a 12-inch by 1-inch strip of paper, and this was cut from the opposite side of the wood paneling paper. It's from the Designer's Choice. I scored that at 1/4 inch and in 1/4 inch increments and accordion folded. When you get done, you're going to have two folds facing down, so you want to trim one of those off. So then you'll have a basically a mountain fold on one end and a valley fold on the other, and those will fit right into each other just like that. So I'm going to put the glue on and glue those together. And there it is, a perfect fit. Now I'm going to need to flatten it out and put it on the end of the box. And I need something really, really sticky. So for the very center, I'm going to use a large glue dot. And then around that glue dot, I'm also going to put quite a bit of Journeycraft glue just to hold that down. And to get that on the top of the box, it's not very easy to pick up. So I'm going to flatten it down and then slide it off the edge of the table. That's really the easiest way to pick that up and keep its shape. And very carefully put that on the top of or on the end of the box. So just like that. It's a little bit tricky, but with a little practice, it's not too bad. And then hold that in place for several seconds for the glue to take hold. And then we will repeat the process for the other end of the box. Okay, we're almost done. Next, I am going to add the flowers around the outside edges. So that's those small flowers. And to do that, I'm just using the Journeycraft glue, and I'm going to space those out in between the leaves. And now that the flowers are on, I'm going to add the roses to the ends. And for that, I'm going to use Journeycraft glue. But before I put those on, I want to add some leaves. So I took some leaves from the boho trim and I trimmed off 3 leaves per rose. And then I used the journey dots to attach those to the backs of the roses. I glued the roses on with Journey Craft glue. Next, I decided those little flowers needed centers, so I used rainbow drops. I started to glue them on with Journey Craft glue and then decided that wasn't going to work as well as Journey dots. So I used the journey dots to adhere the rest of them. And I alternated them between the blue rainbow drops and the green rainbow drops. So here it is, all finished with the rainbow drop centers for the flowers. The green turned out almost yellow against that orange. The elastic closure, and it opens quite wide. It'll hold quite a bit. You could use it for pens or pencils or even maybe a small jewelry box. So that is this one. And then here's the first one that I made from scratch and the original that was made on with the paper on a wooden box. I hope you found this helpful and I would love to see what you create. Thank you for watching.